think housing is becoming a real crisis, actually, on the Outer Cape and particularly in Provincetown.
We have a problem in Provincetown that's been in the making for 20, 30 years, and some would say even longer.
The housing situation down here is dire. So if you came to me and told me that you were in Provincetown or Truro and you were losing your housing, that's a really bad situation to be in down here, especially if you're trying to stay in this area, in this community, because the year-round rentals don't exist.
The housing situation in Provincetown, I think, is a acute need that's probably worse than the rest of the Cape, although I think most of the Cape is experiencing it to some degree, but because we're at the end of the line and we're surrounded by water on three sides, and almost all of our land mass is within the seashore, so 79% of our land is within the Cape Cod National Seashore. So we have limited land to develop, limited resources to do that, and then limited options for people as far as housing goes.
It's interesting because a lot of towns can sort of spread in urban sprawl and those kinds of things you hear about when you read about in the Boston Globe, for example, about how the housing problems, how the housing sort of suburbia has spread well into Plymouth County and way out past Worcester. But in Provincetown, we're surrounded by the National Seashore. We have nowhere to spread to.
So it started in the 90s, actually. I think about 1997 or so is when all of a sudden it kind of started hitting the wall, where people were showing up at the microphone at selectmen's meetings saying, we have to do something. You know, this whole building is going to be turned to condominiums where we've all gotten notices to move out, and we can't find places to go. And back at that point, and when I first moved into the area, a lot of people did the Provincetown Shuffle. When you first moved here, you'd find a seasonal rental, then you'd find a winter rental, and you'd do that maybe a couple of years until you found a year-round rental. Unfortunately, in the last couple decades, some of that seasonal opportunities has even evaporated because a lot of the rentals have turned to weekly rentals. So during the summer in particular, the weekly rentals have removed housing units from even being available for seasonal use, whether it's by a year-round person or a seasonal person.
I have folks who have been here forever who are still struggling to find a place. And you know, they say it's word of mouth, but even people with long-time connections are having a really hard time. People move several times a year, and while that might be fun and exciting when you're young, as you get older, that's no longer exciting. That's just draining and stressful.
I think there's maybe a misperception that most seniors own their homes, and that probably is true in other places. And certainly there are many seniors that own their homes, but there's a large percentage of seniors that rent.
I also have people who are in their 60s and 70s couch surfing, staying with friends in between, who are looking for affordable rentals and can't find them. So it's a real problem.
HomeShare, I think, is a very creative way to begin to address this problem, because we do still have homes that are occupied by maybe an older individual that has room in their house and could probably use a little income or help in the home, and there are plenty of people in the community that are looking for a year-round safe room to rent. So it's a very important program because it's a very creative solution to begin to address the housing need for people that are here year-round and need a safe place to be.
So the HomeShare is actually ideal because it solves three problems in one stroke. First of all, it helps someone stay in their home who otherwise might not be able to. So as the burdens of the house gets, let's say a senior or someone with disabilities or someone who's struggling financially or who needs help around the home, helps them stay in their home. Likewise, it helps someone who needs a place to stay find a place to stay that's safe and secure and affordable. And the third way is it really is a private nonprofit solution that doesn't cost the government anything, so that no taxpayer support comes here.
I think first of all, it adds an option that wasn't there before. or at least it wasn't there before in a structured way or a facilitated way, so that is an opportunity with two very trusted organizations involved and very reputable organizations with Helping Our Women and Homeless Prevention Council, that people may feel more comfortable making connections for home sharing.
I think that, you know, the bohemian sort of lifestyle here used to be this great equalizer, that your cab driver could have a PhD, and it just was one of the really exciting things about here, and that people just came and made it work any way they could. But that's really changing. It's really hard to make it here now if you don't have the resources. And so the people who are able to make a go of it are those who have deeper pockets, and it's really affecting the culture of the place, because what's so special about here was always the mix of people, and so that's becoming harder and harder to sustain.